Does God exist? I mean, it is the ultimate question, isn't it? It's kept people up at night for thousands of years. Well, today on The Explainer, we're diving deep into a legendary debate that tackled this very question head-on, using nothing but the power of pure logic. So we're going to break down this absolutely epic clash of minds between Islamic scholar Mufti Shamail Nadwi and the famous poet and rationalist Javed Akhtar. This wasn't about quoting books. It was a battle of pure reason.
And that was the really crucial rule of engagement here. Both of them agreed, no religious texts, no scientific papers. They were going to argue on the common ground of logic alone. The whole point was to see which worldview could actually stand up on its own.
All right, so let's jump into Mufti Nadwi's case for a creator. Now, he doesn't start with some ancient scripture. Instead, he kicks things off with a simple, really clever thought experiment. He asks you to picture this. You're on a completely deserted island. Just sand, trees, the ocean. And then you see a bright, pink, perfectly smooth ball just sitting there on the beach. What's the first thing that pops into your head? It's got to be, how on earth did that get here? Who made it, right? It just feels totally out of place.
And here's where he makes the big leap. Nadwi says, look, if your brain automatically questions a simple pink ball, isn't it kind of a logical failure to not ask the exact same question about the entire universe? I mean, the universe is infinitely more complex and amazing than a little ball.
So from there, he lays out this classic philosophical argument. It goes like this. Step 1. Everything we see is contingent. It depends on something else. A tree needs a seed needs a parent tree, and that chain goes on and on. Step 2. This chain of cause and effect can't just go backwards forever, because if it did, nothing would have ever gotten started in the first place. Which leads to step 3. There must be a first cause that wasn't caused by anything else.
And this first cause is what's called a necessary being. Now, this is the crucial part. This being isn't just another domino in the line. It's the one who tipped the first domino. It's the ultimate anchor for all of reality. Something eternal, independent, and powerful that started it all.
Okay, so that's Nadwi's opening argument. Now let's switch over to Javed Akhtar's response. And he doesn't just disagree with the conclusion, he comes in and challenges the entire foundation of religious belief itself.
Akhtar starts by drawing this really sharp line between two ideas, belief and faith. He says a belief, like believing the North Pole exists, is based on evidence, on reason, on testimony. But religious faith, he argues that's the total opposite. It's demanding you accept something with zero proof.
And this quote just perfectly captures his whole challenge. He's saying that the very act of asking for faith is basically an admission that you don't have proof. I mean, think about it. You don't need faith to believe that 2 + 2 = 4. If something can be proven, faith is completely irrelevant.
And then he does something really clever. He takes Nadwi's pink ball analogy and just flips it right back on him. He asks, wait a second, why did your mind immediately question the tiny ball, but you just accepted the gigantic, complex island it was sitting on? His point is that maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe the universe itself is the ultimate reality, and we don't need an explanation outside of it.
This is where the whole tone of the debate shifts. It moves from these high-level logical arguments to something way more personal, more raw, and honestly more difficult, the problem of evil. Akhtar poses what might be the single oldest and toughest challenge to belief in God. If there is a creator who is all-powerful and all-loving, then how do you explain all the horrific suffering in the world, especially the suffering of innocent children?
And right here, you can just see the two worldviews collide head-on. For Akhtar, it's a moral issue. Any God that allows atrocities to happen is simply not worthy of respect, period. But for Nadwi, the explanation is that this life is a test. He says that suffering is the unfortunate but necessary result of the free will God gave humanity, and it's all part of a divine plan that's just too big for us to understand.
To really drive this point home, Nadwi uses another great analogy. He says, look, the person who makes a knife isn't evil. The knife is just a tool. It's the person who decides to use that knife to harm someone who is evil. He's arguing God gave us the tool, free will, and we're the ones responsible for how it gets used.
So, as the debate goes on, you start to realize this isn't really about one person winning and one person losing. It's about a fundamental clash between two totally different ways of seeing the world. They're starting from completely different places.
Let's just break down this stalemate. Nadwi's entire framework requires a creator outside the universe to make sense of it. Akhtar's framework asks, why can't the universe just be the ultimate reality?
Nadwi sees suffering and says, this is a test. Akhtar sees the very same suffering and says, this is evidence against a good God. They're running on two different operating systems. And this brings us to what might be the real heart of the whole thing, a question that kept popping up: who has the burden of proof? Is it up to the believer to provide extraordinary evidence for their extraordinary claim, or is it up to the non-believer to somehow prove a negative? The debate never really settles that.
So what's the big takeaway from all of this? It's that the debate isn't just about finding the right answer. It's about understanding which fundamental question you're even asking. Do you look at the universe and see a precisely designed creation that points to a creator? Or do you see a random, indifferent reality that we and we alone are responsible for giving meaning to? Which of those questions you start with, well, that changes everything.